In Pokemon Red of Generation 1, wild grass can be cut using the HM move. The HM cut can be obtained in Vermilion City after beating the rival. Cutting grass would be a good way to reduce the amount of Pokemon spawning, but repels were already in the game at this point. And this is exclusive only to Generation 1, but you could fish in the Cerulean City gym on the statues. It's not just Magikarp that appears here, Goldeen, Poliwag, and Krabby could also be found in the water areas. There's a reference to Apple in this game because the sprite of the original PC is actually a reference to the original Apple Macintosh. It looks almost identical. After the optional rival battle on Route 22 in the beginning of the game, if the player doesn't have any Pokeballs or any Pokemon caught, there's a special dialogue from Professor Oak. In the lab, he would say to not just see the Pokemon, but to catch them, then gives the player 5 Pokeballs. No matter how many times a Pokemon would use Body Slam, it wouldn't be able to paralyze a normal type Pokemon. It would be due to Body Slam being a normal type move, and the effects wouldn't work of the same type. It's like an ice Pokemon unable to be frozen. This is exclusive to the first generation only. Now in Generation 2, at the Goldenrod game corner, there's a person to be seen at one of the game slot machines. He believes the certain machine has a higher chance of paying out more than others. Surprisingly, it is true. This slot always has better odds than the others. Even if the trainer is there for the most part, the machine will be available only in the morning. And Pokemon Gold and Silver are the only two paired games that have distinct sprites for the same Pokemon. Their variations are slightly different but are noticeable. So Slowbro is proudly stretching in Pokemon Gold, while in Silver it looks like it's reaching for a candy on the ground. If you use a walk through walls cheat past the Sudowoodo blocking the path towards Aquacorde City, the two twins usually battled look like Sudowoodo in a different color. It looks funny, there's just two standing there, and talking to the right would turn her into a surfing Lapras. That's just crazy. In Pokemon Crystal only, happiness will get a double increase for any Pokemon that's trained and battled in the area and time of day you originally caught them. A trainer outside Olivine City touches on this, as she and her Meowth can only be battled at night. The legendaries for Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are the Weather Trio, where Groudon and Kyogre were conflicting, as you know. Then Rayquaza was the one to resolve the storm. These details lead to an Easter egg found on the summit of Mount Pyre. On this particular mountain, only 3 Pokemon spawn, which are Shuppet, Duskull, and Chamical. Their shiny forms are similar colors to the Weather Trio. Duskull and Shuppet would be Groudon and Kyogre, whereas Chamical bought peace as Rayquaza. The Hoenn region games are the only ones featuring both parents for the main character, especially with Norman being a gym leader for the normal type. If you tried to lose the battle after picking a starter from Professor Birch, Zigzagoon would just run away instead of landing the finishing attack, and the game would continue like nothing happened. In the Devon headquarters of Rustboro City, one of the scientists there mentions a machine they're working on, and this machine is said by him that it would visualize the dreams of Pokemon. This was a foreshadow because eventually in Pokemon Black and White, Dream World was made. The legendary giants are based on different time periods in the real world. Regice represents Ice Age, Regirock is Stone Age, and Registeel represents Iron or Bronze Age. The two newest additions, Regieleki and Regidrago, are Modern Age and Dark Age. In Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen, a birdkeeper named Donald on Route 14 has a far-fetched referencing Donald Duck from Disney. And there's a way to get unlimited nuggets on Route 24, the bridge that contained lots of trainers. At the end, there would be a Team Rocket grunt giving a nugget after defeating all those battles, but losing to the grunt will still keep the item in the bag. So if the player were to go back to the bridge, the grunt would give the nugget again, and the battle would begin for as many times. There is no clock in Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen, meaning there wouldn't be day and night. So Umbreon and Espeon, whose evolution directly relates to transforming based on the time, wouldn't be able to evolve. It could only be obtained through transferring them from another game. Lauralie really loves to collect dolls at her home on Sevi Islands, cause every 25 times you defeat the Elite Four, she will add one more doll to the collection. And this is out of 8 dolls, so the Elite Four would have to be defeated 200 times for us to see the full collection. This would take forever, but good luck to those attempting this. In Diamond and Pearl, playing on certain days will change encounter rates. For example, on holidays there would be more Pokemon spawning, such as Independence Day, but on days such as New Year's, it would decrease by 5%. If honey was used inside the mart, all the text of purchasable items would completely disappear. This could be fixed if the mart is re-entered. After the trainer battles Giratina in the Turnback Cave, if you come back, there will be valuable items in the Pokemon's place. The items include a Reaper Cloth, Rare Bone, and Stardust. There are secret wallpapers to decorate PC boxes in the Pokemon Center. These are unlocked from the TV producer in the Jubilife station if you give specific answers. The new secret backgrounds will look like this. If you visit Snow Point City on January 12th, you'll notice a special weather pattern take place. This particular date is the birthday of the Game Freak director. This weather pattern is known as diamond dust. It looks sparkly and is not the usual snow we see. It has no effect in battle, but is a cool detail. Rotom is a hidden Pokemon to find in the old Chateau of Eternal Forest. There's a specific room upstairs where you see a ghost girl on the side. And in the center of the room, interacting with the television will initiate the Rotom battle. This only happens at night. In Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver, there's a Pokeathlon dome with a hidden room. If you were to get all trophies, there will be a friendship room featuring a statue of the player and their main signature Pokemon. The sprite in the Pokeathlon uniform is nowhere else in the entire game besides this small golden room. There's a special Celebi event in Pokemon HeartGold SoulSilver. The only way would be to obtain it from a GS ball. Then a backstory scene would initiate. This takes place in Ilex Forest and the shrine has to be interacted with. Celebi would appear and throw the player back in time. Did you know you could catch a Rayquaza in this game? All badges need to be required and Red has to be defeated. Then a Kanto starter from Professor Oak. That's when an orb would be received and Rayquaza is at Embedded Tower. In Pokemon Black and White, the game likes to play around with music. In Castelia City, in the building of Game Freak makers, there will be one person in a room that will change the music to the Team Rocket theme if you talk to him. When the trainer stops walking at a certain point on a route, drums would stop playing. And as you go lower into the caves, the music gets slower, which is pretty creepy. When a Pokemon used Thrash during battle, you could hear the Super Mario Bros. Theme. Remember that famous Ferris wheel in Nimbasa City? Well, in Black and White 2, if the player goes there, they will notice an extra receiver on the ground. Once picked up, it suddenly rings and the person would either be Yancy or Curtis, depending on the trainer. They will call you every so often and eventually you'll be able to meet up with them and go on the Ferris wheel together. In Pokemon X and Y of Lumio City, the well-known Missing No glitch appears in a dark doorway of a boutique. The resemblance is similar and it's cool the game decided to add this. Using the moves Air Cutter, Blizzard, or Twister causes berries to drop from trees. Or if Rock Slide is used in this canyon, a random evolutionary stone can be found, which is helpful if looking for specific ones. There's a backpacker that spawns in multiple random hotels who often goes on journeys. Speaking to him on the 4th day would give you a strange souvenir that looks like a wooden statue. This becomes known to be a teaser of the new Alola region. In the Rustboro City apartment of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, an Ace Trainer gives a float stone, which is an item that reduces the amount of weight of Pokemon holding it. But then after leaving the floor and returning, he changed into a hiker, saying he put on a lot of weight. If you transfer a Pokemon all the way from the original Ruby Sapphire Emerald games, place it in the lead of the party, then speak to the Game Freak director, he will give a time travel award. It could also be shown off in the secret base. The well-known spooky girl from Pokemon X and Y returns to Mount Pyre in this game, where she proceeds to have the same dialogue. She says that we're not the one again. Some time ago, IGN reviewed Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, rating it a 7 out of 10 for having too much water. Pokemon Sun and Moon put this comment when you took pics using the camera. The Nugget Bridge in which we were talking about earlier in this video is shown in Melee Garden. Alongside this, Melee City was designed for people moving to Alola from the Kanto and Johto region. There are 5 trainers who battle you at the garden, and the Pokemon used by a veteran is the exact same style as Team Rocket. Even the dialogue is same. It doesn't end here. Celadon Game Corner was run by Team Rocket, and you could access a secret area by inspecting a poster. Now in Hau'oli City Mall, a woman beside a poster says there's no secret switch behind it, and she is telling the truth, as she's not a Team Rocket grunt. If you combine the Ultra Sun and Moon box art, it appears as Necrozoma, a very cool combination. Now next up in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the bike system is completely removed from this game. Rest in peace bikes. But yeah, everything that revolves in this game is now Ride Pokemon. There's a bike store however, and it's not a regular store, it's more of a bike collector's home. In the back of the game corner, there's a poster, and if you examine carefully, it's sort of a pun. There's a rainbow on the sides, and a rocket in the center, with Mucken coughing circling around this. This whole poster refers to Team Rainbow Rocket from Ultra Sun and Moon. Mewtwo is a clone of Mew and has been said to be created in the depths of the Pokemon Mansion on Cinnabar Island. It was never 100% confirmed, but you could see the large machine Mewtwo shares a rough history with. It even has a special dialogue when you click A on it. Switching gears to Pokemon Sword and Shield, depending on which Joy-Con colors you have, the player switch on the table would resemble the same one. Let's say you have the green and blue one, it would look like this. It's pretty odd how the game detects this. Shiny Pokemon couldn't get any rarer. That's when Square Shinies came into the game. The color is still different in the same manner, but the sparkling effect isn't stars anymore. There's a 1 in 16 chance your shiny will be a Square Shiny. This is not a guarantee, but during your time at camping, there's a possibility that a random wild Pokemon could wander in, and the Pokemon in the party don't have to be empty, they could be full and still enter. If the player were to get extremely lucky, the Pokemon wandering in can be shiny. Moving over to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Maylene, the fighting type gym leader, has the same distinctive appearance as a female bird keeper trainer. Maybe she could have been one in the past, but what's even more interesting is that she gives HM Fly after defeating her. In Twin Leaf Town, once you surf to the left of the pond, you would find an odd keystone. This item is essential to finding Spiritomb, which comes with many other steps as well, such as introducing yourself to people in the underground 32 times. Speaking of the underground, it takes a lot of grinding to do this, but level 100's Shadow Giratina could be battled with if you get all 3 legendary titans. These giants can't just be battled with easily, the player would need specific shards and it takes a long time to mine them in the underground. Now in Pokemon Legends Arceus, inside the Diamond Settlement, there are 2 pictures framed up with the guy on the right being Maxie from Hoenn region. On the left resembles Alder from Pokemon Black and White, the Pokeballs being on his shoulders. For why they are there is a mystery that could be foreshadowing on future games, like Pokemon ZA. The trainer's start and clothes were available in previous games. The boy's trainer shirt was purchasable in Pokemon X and Y, while the girl's shirt is in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Kamado, if you didn't know already, is an ancestor of Professor Rowan. Later in the game, when he changes his clothes to armor, it looks familiar from somewhere. And that is the Elite Four member from X and Y, Wickstrom, the Steel-type user. Could they be related? Last but not least, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In Nemona's room, there appears to be 3 boxes of Pokemon food. The Pokemon that are featured on these are Talonflame, Marill, and Tyranitar. These Pokemon have good EVs in attack, speed, and HP, which are the most common types needed for battle. Alfornada is all about nostalgia. Pokemon menu items show up as tile mosaics across the town, all the way from Generation 1. Ever notice this? When terrestrializing Ghost type, it's the ghost from the Pokemon Tower. Another throwback. All the Team Star leader names are based on real-life constellations, and the way they are formatted on the map is based off of the outline on where the stars would be, with Cassiopeia being the main leader. Multiple times throughout class, the images on the board reference past games, one being Pokemon Sun and Moon in language class, and another being Legends Arceus in history class. There are just way too many secrets and Easter eggs from every Pokemon generation to cover. It's incredible how much detail the games put into while making Pokemon great as it already is. What is your favorite Pokemon game of all time? Comment down below. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.